pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I guess to start the meeting, we have an appointment with a DOT presentation. Step right up.
Introduce yourselves. You want to stand over here to the camera? In that case, I'll stay over there.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. Listen, thank you for attending. My name is Michael Moser with the New Hampshire Department of Transportation. Also have Joe Adams in the blue shirt with the DOT as well. He's the project manager for this project. I'm the senior project engineer. We're both with the Bureau of Bridge Design. Joe Johnson is with the consultant with GPI. He's one of the people who's assisting us with this project. And then we, over in the back there, we have Steve Langevin, who's also helping us with this project for GPI. So we're here, we're just going to give you a brief update on what the plans for some preservation work that's going to be on this bridge. I'm going to start off this presentation, talk for a few minutes, and I'm going to turn it over to Joe so that we can talk a little bit about some of the traffic control issues that are going to need to be implemented. So I think we already did that one. So this project here, this is the Littleton 42376 project. As I mentioned, this is a bridge preservation project. What we're looking to do here is do some minor repairs to the bridge that's at exit 42. The idea here is that we want to extend the useful life of these bridges. So right now it's in pretty good shape, but there are a few things that we want to do. So we'll get into those in a minute. But just as you can see here, we are at exit 42. You know, we have the Walmart and the Shaw's over to the west. Come to the east, start heading down towards town. I know you guys are all familiar. I just want to try to orient everybody where they are. So as I said, the intent of this preservation project to extend the useful life of the bridge. You know, we do have some issues with ride quality out there with the expansion joints at the end. The pavement has a history of rutting, so a couple of things we'll do, I'll get to in a few minutes, is we're going to try to solve those by replacing the pavement and membrane. So we're going to take it up, and when we get a chance to look at it, we want to look at the top of the deck, find out if there's any issues with deterioration, and we'll repair those as well. And then the other thing is at the ends of the bridges, we have expansion joints. We want to take a look at those. There are some leaking, so water is falling through into the bridge seat below, so we want to replace those as well. We are looking at a couple of other small things, but these are the main things that we're going to look at. So I talked about the leaking expansion joints and the cracking pavement. Those are the main things that we want to get to just to try to extend the life as we talked about before. This is looking underneath. We have the bridge girder. You can see that they were painted at one point, so some of the paint is starting to peel off, and we're getting a little bit of rusting that's showing down below. So one of the things that we're also going to look at is repainting the ends of the beams again, so that we can extend that life, just in case the joints are cracking or joints start leaking again down the road. And then, as we talked about with the pavement, if we get any ruts in the pavement, we're just going to repave it so we have a nice smooth finish for that as well. So again, I kind of talked a little bit about this. We're going to replace the expansion joints. We'll get the pavement and membrane we talked about. Those partial depth patches, if there are any deterioration in the concrete, we're going to cut that out. Maybe use some jackhammers, whatever we need to do to remove some of that bad concrete, pour back some new concrete before we put the new one in. And then on both of the sides where the sidewalks are, there's a granite curb that's there currently. Our plan is to remove that granite curb and put back a sidewalk concrete extension. So there's about a 6-inch curb there. By the time we get back, we're going to be back to just concrete sidewalk. There won't be any granite there anymore. And then, like I said, we got the painting the girders underneath the expansion joints there. So with that, I'm going to let Joe talk a little bit about the phasing of this, and then we can move on from there.
Thanks, Mike. So this is a bridge job, but this bridge is right in between two signalized intersections. So sometimes the challenge is how we can maneuver traffic around the work zone to keep everything flowing smoothly during construction. So I'm going to go over kind of how we intend to build the project and what modifications might be needed during construction. So this top photo shows the existing configuration on the bridge. You have one lane in each direction, through lane, and then you have left turn lanes on the bridge. And this is if you're standing on the bridge looking towards downtown. So the intent during our phase one of construction is to work on half of the bridge as kind of shown here in this green area. So we need to squeeze these 4 lanes we have today down to 2. And so what we're intending to do is basically have 1 lane in each direction, which are basically 12-foot travel lanes. And in order for this to work, if you wouldn't mind moving to the next slide. Basically, this kind of shows it from a plan, from an aerial view. In order to accommodate this revised traffic pattern during construction, we basically have to eliminate left turns onto the on-ramps. So here's the northbound off-ramp and on-ramp, just to get you situated, and here's the southbound ramps. So we're now going to have 1 lane in each direction on the bridge while they're working on the north side of the bridge. And as I mentioned, in order to do that, that left turn is going to be prohibited during construction. So this left onto the on-ramp, and then this left onto the on-ramp. And basically those will be barricaded such that that movement is not physically possible. And because that left turn currently is a protected left turn phase, the signal operations actually improve slightly during construction because we're taking those lefts and we're going to detour those lefts to the adjacent interchanges. So for instance, this movement that would be going towards downtown to take the left, go northbound, we're going to assign a detour such that they go southbound for 1 exit to exit 41 to reverse direction. So they'll be taking a right here to turn around and come back up. Same thing for the other direction. For the folks that are headed to head southbound on I-93, we're going to assign a detour to basically take a right and head northbound to exit 43. So if you wouldn't mind going to the next one. This is the next phase of construction. We're doing the south side. We're basically just flopping the work zone on the bridge. And then, of course, after construction, we'll restore the bridge striping exactly as it was pre-construction. Go to the next slide. So again, this shows the second phase of work where we're doing the south side. And so basically, we collected all sorts of volume data for this to see the impacts of this detour route. And actually, the morning peak hour is actually at 11 a.m. we found. It was kind of later. It was beyond the commuting hour that we would have expected. But we looked at peak hour conditions during the AM and PM and rerouted those trips down to exit 41 and exit 43 to look at how the traffic those intersections would operate. And we ran capacity analysis and looked at the increased delay that might result for certain movements. And thankfully, those 2 adjacent interchanges are not nearly as busy as this one. And so in terms of the delay, it was, we'd call acceptable, maybe another 10 to 15-second delay for certain movements, and I have all that analysis I'm happy to share with anyone. So if you could go to the next slide. So this basically shows the detour route for folks that wanted to head northbound. This is exit 42 right here. This is 41. So for the folks that were looking to take a left and head northbound, this is the route where you go down and take a series of 2 lefts to head back north. As per Google, that's roughly 4.5 mile detour, roughly 5-minute additional time to your route. And if you were to head on the next slide, this shows the detour to head southbound. Again, so you're going up to exit 43, you take a right off the ramp and a left and come back down. And again, that's just under 4-mile detour. And certainly those would be signed throughout, and really the way we view this is most likely the local folks will understand that there's a detour in place. They may choose an alternative route, but I would feel like this is most suitable for those that may not be familiar with the town or maybe visiting and whatnot. But we'll talk a little bit more about schedule in just a couple slides so you can understand how the duration of these detours, but they are relatively short term. I think that's all I have. So we'll, like I said, we'll be making traffic signal modifications at exit 42 to accommodate those restricted movements during construction. We're going to maintain pedestrian access over the bridge during construction, so that won't be an issue. And we'll have certainly advanced signing to help alert motorists of the construction and the detour. So, go to the next slide, please.
Go back one more. Yeah, so regarding the schedule, we're in design right now. We've started designing a few months ago. We're looking to finish this late summer, early fall, get this out to advertisement sometime in either the fall or early winter this year. And then we're looking at construction for next year between basically April and September. We're thinking we could get completion in the fall of 2020. There might be a few touch-ups that need to be done after that, but what we're really anticipating is probably several months of this detour. Probably about 4 months or so is what we're thinking to detour to the northbound and southbound traffic. I think that's about it. So we just really quickly wanted to give you guys an overview of what we're looking at. Try to answer any questions that you may have about the project or the detours that we're proposing here. So with that, I'll open it up and see if you guys have any questions. Yeah.
The choice to go from granite to concrete, what would be the reasoning behind that?
You're talking on the curb pavement?
For the curbing.
What we're finding is that the granite, there's a joint that a hard joint that happens between the granite and the concrete. So what we're finding is that once we start doing work on removing the pavement and membrane, that joint starts to get loose, and then we start having the granite come off. And if you take a look on the north side right now, there's already been some repairs that have been done in that area. So what we're trying to do is eliminate a lot of the granite around the area so that we don't have these problems down the road. This is an opportune time because we will have the other work that's being done simultaneously.
Will Dells Road remain open?
Dells Road will be open, yes. We'll probably have some modification to the traffic signal, but it'll still be a controlled green arrow if you're going towards town, or still make a right turn on that.
I just have a couple questions. The first is the timing. You guys are doing your construction during the peak time for the community. I mean, the traffic down there, especially during the time period that you've chosen, is probably the heaviest. Is there any way that you can adjust that start and end date? Second thing is your northbound detour probably, well, to me, it doesn't make sense. I don't know why you don't divert them down Dells Road and take a left and get back on at 43 or 42.
So let me start with the
Or 43, I'm sorry.
I guess let me ask you a question. You talked about a different time frame. What is your thought regarding that time frame?
I don't know. Was there a consideration put into, the peak, our community thrives on tourism, and that the construction period that you picked is pretty much when there's a lot of traffic in that area, especially tourists coming in with campers and so on and so forth. So, if you could do perhaps latter part of the summer and beginning of the fall or something like that, maybe, I don't know, I would be looking for your input on that. And as far as the detour route, I just think it would be easier for somebody to go, granted, I know it's a municipal roadway, but it would be smarter to go to Dells Road, take a left off the Dells Road, and then you can get right back on the interstate there rather than going southbound and then northbound again.
Well, regarding that, I mean, I appreciate that. I think locals will know to do that. I don't know if we want to divert all the traffic down Dells Road. That'll be, from anybody who is just heading north to Canada or something.
I don't know, it just seems kind of confusing for somebody, a traveler, to have to go south and north again.
And our thought is this, from the state standpoint, this is a, US 302. What we're trying to do is keep our detours on a state route. Dells Road being a municipal road, we typically don't detour onto those types of situations. We can do it, but like you said, our thought here is that people in this room or people in the town I've been here long enough that we'll probably take Dells Road. There's other people, I won't say that, but what we're really trying to do is people that are using the campground that aren't familiar with it, that maybe have the trailers, if we really don't want them trying to make that left turn, so if we could divert them south, we just figured it'd be a safer option for them.
Okay.
What have you considered off hour? My concern in the summer, it's not uncommon that traffic from there gets backed up all the way up Meadow Street. I mean, it gets backed up a long ways.
Yeah.
Have you considered off hours working to avoid that? Because it's going to be significant.
That is something I think we can take into account, or we can look at it. Right now, like, this is still early on in the process, so one of the things that we were trying to do was gather input from the town. These are great things that we can look at. Really, that's the goal of this meeting, is to gather input from you guys, and then we can go back and look at that.
Because I don't know if you're familiar with that road. I mean, it's common that traffic gets backed up back past Pizza Hut and you know, it takes a while to get through that intersection in the summer as it is, and that's, I don't know, maybe that'll make it quicker. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, those signals will operate better without the lefts.
Yeah.
But, you know, if people are unfamiliar with, you know, oh, I got to take a right, there might be some confusion or whatnot the first time through. But theoretically, the signals will be more efficient because they do have that one less phased process.
Well, I would ask that you would at least look into that, working hours, because that could be punishing for the town.
Is this the type of work that could be done during the winter? Does it have to be, I mean, outside of paving, of course, or could this be done in the winter, or?
The issue we're going to run into is paving, obviously, as you mentioned, and the concrete work as well. We'd like to try to avoid winter for both of those activities.
I heard you talk about inspecting the deck and as you strip things about and painting the girders.
Yep.
I didn't hear anything about inspecting the girders. Is that taking place as well?
The girders get inspected every 2 years in a biennial inspection.
Okay.
So we have a load rating on the girders that indicate they're in good shape. They were designed for higher loads than we would design for now.
Okay.
So I don't think there's a lot of concern about that. What we're seeing, these were weathering steel that were put up in the 90s. And what we're seeing is just the paint, the end of the bus, I think it's 8 feet of girders were painted back then. We're starting to lose that protection system.
Okay.
So we just want to incorporate that again in order to make sure that those ends are protected in case the joints start leaking again.
I'm sorry.
Before we get too far, we might just make one comment about the off hours. This work will involve some jackhammering, so at times it will be a little bit loud, so that's something to consider too.
We don't want people waking up at Walmart.
Yeah, it didn't seem like there were too many residences in the direct vicinity of it.
Well, yeah, and there's also, the Dells will probably hear that too. I recognize there's other considerations. I just want to make sure that's a consideration, because I already hear enough complaints about getting through that in the summer as it is. My last question was about the traffic. I don't know if we can see that slide again. So you're eliminating the left-hand turns to get on the on-ramps, but the left-hand turns and the off-ramps are still going to be
Correct.
in place?
Yes. And the one thing we'll need to look at more closely as we advance the design is, you know, some of the geometry for those lefts to make sure, you know, for instance, this left is now coming to the near side.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it may be necessary to restrict, you know, push folks over to one lane here
Yeah.
when the work zone is closer to that ramp. So we'll be sure to look into that closely.
Did you have any brochure about this project over here to make sure that the people in real time they know what are you guys gonna do, you know, all the tours and stuff like that? You have anything on paper? You go, well, what is that? It's just it's an idea that you guys have it, or the state has to fix this bridge. Did you have anything on paper?
We've started putting stuff on paper. This is early on in the process.
Okay.
Where we won't have official plans until probably the early fall timeframe. So, and then, you know, we'll be putting stuff out, and then we'll be putting out notices, you know, before construction begins next year as to what's happening. And as Joe indicated, there will be advanced warning signs that'll be out as well.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? You good? All set. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
No. All right. We've been asked to adjust our agenda schedule. And we're going to move new business up so that we can dispose of Karen.
Be gentle.
So we're moving new business up, so let's talk about that tax anticipation note.
Okay. I had sent all of you just a brief explanation of the tax anticipation note. Some of you probably already know that it's a short-term note to cover expenditures until we get property tax bills out. We are looking for no more than $2 million, hopefully less. And we are asking that you will authorize the town manager and treasurer to take a TAN of no more than $2 million without additional approval. The TAN will be financed at the lowest interest rate or lowest rate possible with no more than 3-month payment period without additional approval. And this authorization for approval for the TAN will expire August 20th, 2019. I have the rates. I contacted 4 banks. And you do not know what banks they are because I identified them by A, B, C, D. Even the town manager doesn't know. The highest rate I got was 2.99, and that came from 2 banks. The lowest rate I got was 2.25. My estimated cost was about $3,000. Well, the lowest cost for a month is $3,698. Hopefully, we can get the tax bills out, get money coming in, and not have to take the TAN. Mm-hmm. We also have a possibility of a pilot payment coming soon that will also help avoid a TAN. So I'm just waiting for the authorization to go forward.
Okay. I guess before we get into discussion, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we go with B for 2
Well,
million.
I think the motion would be to get the best rate we can.
Okay.
We don't have to decide on which one it is.
All right. So make a motion to authorize the town manager and treasurer to take a TAN for no more than $2 million without additional approval. The TAN will be financed at the lowest rate possible for no more than a 3-month period without additional approval. This authorization for approval of the TAN will expire on 8/20/19.
Second? You gotta have a second before we can discuss it.
All right, I'll second that.
Okay, so now, discussion. I have a question, just a general question. How does this compare to last year's?
We haven't taken a TAN since
I know, but we
2016.
passed the authorization to do that. Is that the same number? I can't remember.
We asked for 1.5 million last year,
Okay.
but we also didn't have some of the projects going on that we
Yeah.
have going on at this time.
Okay.
So I want to be safe
Okay.
than get to a point where I have to come in on an emergency
Yeah.
situation and ask you for additional funds.
And when you get a tax anticipation note, do you get it for a dollar amount, or you just, okay, I'll take 500,000 now, or do you have to take the whole 2 million?
I try to plan to take 500 to $1 million at a time, depending on our payroll
Okay.
and accounts payable runs.
Okay.
I try to limit what I'm taking because the more you take, the more interest you pay.
Sure, and this number here, these numbers you gave us is assuming you take the whole 2 million for the whole 90
Right.
days.
Well, that's assuming a monthly interest rate.
I understand, yeah, okay, so that's, yeah, $3,698 per
And the
month.
school has worked with me. The school has put off their payment for another week. So
Okay,
the school is working with me.
all right.
The town, the school and the town are working together, I should say.
Any other discussion, questions?
I'm gonna abstain from the vote. I don't know if my employer has submitted anything or not, and if they did, I don't know which is which, but I don't want to be difficult on it.
Okay.
Well, would that put me out though, where I sit on the Woodsville Guarantee Bank Board?
I've always done it with A, B, C, D.
Okay.
Just so
that
nobody knows.
It takes out knowing what was presented where.
Yeah,
And I don't know either, so. being here.
You could be
And I think you would be safer than I because you're not involved
Yeah, I think
in
so.
day-to-day sales, whereas I, although not with this because of my conflict, I still do that type of work.
well, if we vote on it, and we're gonna need two of us, I don't think I can do this unilaterally, we can't have two abstentions, so if you take heat for it, then, and the public recalls you as selectman as a result of this,
Okay.
we good? All right, so all those in favor of the tan?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No opposed and one abstention. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful meeting. We'll see you soon. See you tomorrow.
All right. That's the only new business. I don't want to. Okay, so now we're on to the town manager's report.
So first up, we have the property purchase parking lot expansion. This was authorized by the voters at town meeting under Article 20, which authorized the purchase of map 78, lot 179. Right now, we have a tentative agreement, purchase and sale, which basically is highlighted as a $50,000 purchase price, a 20-foot lot line adjustment to the abutter, and 4 parking spaces to the abutter, and a maintenance agreement to be worked out with them. So I have a copy, I think, that I've sent you guys a draft of the purchase and sale agreement. If you want an updated one.
You sent it? You gave it to us?
This would have been probably a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
And so what we'd be looking for is the board to consider making a motion to authorize the purchase and then authorize me to execute the documents required.
Are there additional fees, Andrew, as far as recording fees? Would you be responsible for that as well?
Yeah, so there'd be recording fees, there'd also be permitting involved. We'll need to do the lot line adjustment. There's going to be a survey that's involved with that and some.
They're asking us to do that. And we-
Yeah, this is all the costs
Okay.
associated with this.
So we had to get a little creative. The asking price was significantly higher, and in order to accommodate their interests and ours, this is the agreement.
So I see the addendum which shows that it's contingent on the sale of 42. Actually, are we supposed to get into this before we get into discussion?
Oh, right.
Have a motion before we have discussion? And you're looking for that motion tonight? So I guess I'll entertain a motion to accept this, to authorize and enter into a purchase and sales agreement.
Oh, no, but beyond that, so I can sign, I can execute the purchase and sale, but it's contingent on, the purchase sale is contingent on you authorizing the actual purchase.
The actual purchase. So what are we voting on here?
Purchase.
The actual purchase?
Yes.
Oh, okay, we're at that stage finally.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so.
I'll make a motion to authorize the purchase of, what are we gonna call this, authorize the purchase of 17 Hillview Terrace, map 78, lot 179 for $50,000, and agreed upon terms as described in the purchase and sales agreement, and further authorize the town manager to execute any and all required documentation on behalf of the town.
Second.
Okay, we have the motion and seconded, discussion now. I have a question. So it's contingent on the acquisition, on the sale of 42 Main Street. I understand that. And I see that it's, I guess I don't see a contingency here on approval of the boundary line adjustment. What if that doesn't go through, then we,
Right, so if you look under additional provisions, item 16.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah. It lays out in softer language. Here, I'll just read those. It's understood that the buyer intends to raise the barn structure currently on the property and remove any and all debris. Property to be conveyed with a lot line adjustment in favor of 42 Main Street to reflect the approximate boundary line adjustment of approximately 20 feet. And they're referring to a tax map that I created with a 20-foot measurement on the back of the property line. So, and then if you look under item, I believe 13, let's see, 13? Yes, so under 13, the other item is due diligence, which typically would involve like a home or commercial inspection of the property. But we've included a phase 1 environmental assessment, so that if the result of, say soil testing or something that comes back not in our favor, that we would not be for it.
Okay, so essentially what you're doing is executing the purchase and sales. Then we've got those contingencies that have to be met.
That's right.
So we just don't go through the sale if those things aren't met.
That's right.
Gotcha, okay.
The only other item that I noticed on here that will be changed is the agreement made this 9th day. I'll change that to the date.
Yeah. I have nothing else. All right. We can vote on it then now.
Yeah, we've had two, so if you want me to just give it, I think.
Yeah, we already had the two hearings.
Oh, that's the other one. We've had the two, or no, this one is, I'm sorry, this doesn't go to the.
This was
40
town meeting.
Yeah, this goes town meeting, so
Yeah.
not 4114A.
Yeah,
Mixing the next one up with it.
okay. Yeah.
So many of these.
I was looking at that while we were doing this and I got confused. Okay, so for a second, so all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so it's unanimous.
So just other updates. We're doing some IDP, industrial discharge permit monitoring with some of the commercial and industrial properties that have come on. At the recent tour with the community house, they're looking at their annex building for a future project. We've been meeting with LIDC, we're looking at the future build out of the parcel that the town transferred to them. We are also still working with Chapman parcel. It's my understanding that the governor has put funding into HB2 to help commit the state's portion of that project if it makes it through the Senate and the House. We've been continuing to work with the school on MOU and also other project collaborations. So we're trying to work with them more often. In fact, the chair of the school board made a comment last time that she's never experienced such a good working relationship with the town and their history.
Good.
It's good to hear. We had a River District Commission meeting on the 9th. We had a lot of updates. I don't know if Chad wants to update more on any of those.
I don't have that, that hat on tonight. Again, we're still, there's quite a bit going on with LIDC. River District, we're planning a ribbon cutting and governor visit. We don't have the exact date set yet. We're trying to work with governor's office to find out when that's going to be. We had our board of assessors meeting recently in over different parcels. Parking commission meeting. They are going to, I think they're at the point now where they're going to do their presentation at an upcoming meeting to give.
We don't know yet then. Been dragging out quite a while. Well, you know what?
Yeah, I think
I'm not saying it's anybody's fault, but it's been dragging on quite a while. We got issues this summer.
the process takes a long time. I think one of the things is we use the North Country Council with a federal highway grant money, and so really depended on their staff and their schedule. We used also a group of interns from, I think they were planning interns, to to do a lot of the parking lot surveys, and there's been a number of info sessions. It's a long process. It's fast for government. We recently met with a local bank to talk about tax credit project financing, and we're going to try to work together on some of the bigger projects just to get them plugged in to make sure they're aware of it. I'm continuing to work with Buxton on project consultation and continuing to get out some pursuit packages on that. Our Golden Cross EMS contract is coming due, so we're working on that. The Plan NH design charrette, we're doing some continued planning. This morning I had a brief meeting with Councilor Crines, and Commissioner Sheehan, and Commissioner Scott from DES. And the Governor's Council is planning on having a Governor Council meeting here in Littleton, hopefully in July. So we'll be working together to plan that. Our biosolids contract for the wastewater treatment plant is also coming due. We've got some things that we're working on as well. So that's some of the major activities over the past couple of weeks. And the next item will be, I guess not under my report, but the old business.
So that's it with your report?
Yeah.
Do we want to open up to any questions or comments? So rather than have a specific public comment area before we move on, if there's any comments or questions on what Andrew reported to us?
Yeah, sure. Do this Article 20, right, do the taxpayer, they used to sign for $50,000. They give you the time of the okay to just appropriate $50,000, right?
They raise and appropriate $50,000, which was to be reduced by a transfer of, what was it? I believe it was $20,000 out of the parking fund.
Right.
That doesn't mean if you put it both together, what is it? It's 30,000 or it's 70,000? If you appropriate some money from there.
That's a good question. But I believe the way that it's worded, the 50,000 is to be reduced by the parking fund.
That's when you take
Yes,
20,000.
it specifically says to offset and reduce the cost of the purchase. And work done.
Do this to the property behind the bridge, after the bridge? The one with the...
No, it's the barn behind the movie theater.
Oh, the one on top of that? And eventually you guys are gonna put meters on, for people to park over here, pay for the parking? What?
Haven't gone that far yet. We're still waiting for the parking commission's recommendations before we
Not to recuperate some money.
No, I understand. We gotta see what the we'll be getting I'm just reluctant to say anything until we've seen the parking commission's proposal or suggestions, and then we'll have to decide how we want to deal with that property. But it is clearly for the intent of expanding parking. Whether it's paid parking or free, I'm not prepared to say at this point.
I don't know if this is gonna, really encamel, to what you guys talk about. I truly believe that, that the new selectman manager, he should recuse himself from the other two committee that he belongs to, which is the River District and Middle it's because it could be conflict of interest, even in good faith, but it could be conflict of interest because I'm pretty sure that because it belongs to the community, right, the industrial park at the River District, it's, this happened last year or 2 years ago when Skyler was nominated, as a selectman. I mean, he understood that, eventually for the good of the people or for the good of the town, per se,
Have we looked into any conflict of interest issues with that stuff?
Yep. So with the River District, determined that the River District is a committee of the town and that there is no conflict of interest for any member to serve on the River District Committee.
Okay. Is that the only thing, Ron?
In the town, I got off of the parking commission. I think it's the only thing. I did for more community-wide stuff.
Yeah, you just would, if there was ever something that was.
You'd have to recuse yourself from that IBC stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate your comments, and we'll take that into.
Yeah, I feel, you know, maybe you guys get it. Thank you.
Okay. So we've got old business. Oh, that's the one I was looking at. Okay, so this is the Murrow lease purchase agreement. We've had the 2 public hearings. So tonight's task is to vote on going forward with that.
And if you look through some of the checks.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Make motion to start discussion. I will make a motion that the Board of Selectmen, in accordance with NHRSA 4114A, authorize the lease purchase option agreement for map 84 lot 11, and to further authorize the town manager to execute any and all required documents on behalf of the town.
Second.
All right, so we have first and second, so any discussion on that, any more discussion? We're good? We've met all the requirements, right? Okay. All right, then I guess I'll do a vote. All those in favor? Aye? Aye. Opposed? None, so that's unanimous in favor of going forward. Thank you, Andrew, for working on that. I guess that's, do we have to go into
Oh, non-public.
non-public? Okay. Don't tell me how to do that, I've never done that.
So you'll want to entertain a motion to go into non-public for the consideration of particular contract.
Which one is it down there? I can't see.
Yeah.
Consider it acquisition, sale, lease? No.
For, let's see, negotiation contract, let's see.
Negotiations pending claim, no. Acquisition for sale or lease. Matters which if discussed publicly or let known, dismissal, promotion.
We could, the first one we should do is under 91A.
3,
2,
aye.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone want to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so I guess we want in non-public.
Do we have to state our full name? Do we need to-
Oh, that's right.
Take your vote then.
We have to take a roll vote, that's right. So, aye, Franco Rossi, aye.
Chad Smith.
Aye. Carrie Gendro.